to all the parents watching us tonight at Empowering Parents. And we are very excited tonight to have a very special guest with us, Kim De Finn. She is a brilliant musician and she's also a true worshiper. Many of you in church have experienced that. And tonight, we actually going to speak to her as a mom. So we are very excited. Thank you so much, Kim, for joining us and just sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you, Rita. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, and I'm excited to share with you some of my journey of being a mom. It's been it's been 15 years already, so it's been an exciting up and down journey.
Yeah, I can agree. It is an exciting journey, and I think many of you parents watching tonight, you can also agree that it's been exciting. If you want to comment below and tell us how long have you been parenting? Like Kim said, now it's been 15 years. For me, it's only been 5 years. But tell us, how long have you been on this parenting journey? We would love to hear from you as parents. Now, before we go ahead, I just quickly want to share a short scripture before we share our theme. And it's in 1 Corinthians 15, verse 28, where it says, "Be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor is not in vain." Be steadfast, immovable. And I think that is just leading into our theme for tonight that Kim is just going to lead us in, is being consistent in your parenting. And that word is already challenging for me, and I believe for many of you. So we're going to just ask Kim a few questions that she can help us and guide us just how we can be more consistent in parenting. So if you guys are ready, let's go for the first question. I just want to hear from you, Kim. What is consistency in parenting, and why is it so important?
Well, let's have a look at what is consistency. And the way we can look at that is just let's look at our Heavenly Father and the way He is with us. You know, He is a consistent daddy. He is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So every time I go before our Heavenly Father, He is loving, He is kind, He is gracious, and that is His nature. And because we know His nature to be consistent, that's why we realize we need to have that value in our own lives as parents. You know, I was just looking at what does consistency produce through that quiet time with Him daily. And, you know, that quiet time, it's producing fruitfulness. I'm secure in knowing who I am through knowing Christ. And the fact that He is consistent with me every single day. And, you know, that gives me direction in everything I'm doing every single day. So taking that as an example, we realize it's an important value to our Heavenly Father. And that's where consistency is seen for the first time, really. So why is it consistent? I'm just going to look at when we've got little children. When we're looking at little children, the way they learn is through internalizing, rehearsing, and repetition. And through those three things, we need to be consistent. So, for example, if I'm taking a math sum, a simple math sum of 2 plus 2 equals 4. So we teach them what 2 plus 2 is, and then they are able to predict that 2 plus 2 is going to equal 4. And from that, they learn to build really tricky equations and more complex math problems. They are able to solve those. But if 2 plus 2 equals 4 today and it doesn't equal 2 tomorrow, have we ever thought what that's going to do to their math foundation? They won't be able to really build any complex problems or math sums. And so that's where we see consistency as the main requirement for young children to learn predictability. So they're able to predict 2 plus 2 equals 4. Likewise, are they able to predict how we're going to respond as parents when they throw a tantrum? Are they able to predict how we're going to respond when they're late for school? Are we able to also predict how are they able to predict how that we are going to relate to them or respond to them when they don't do their homework? And so that is where we can see a consistency being built up, and we start to understand that consistency is important to children. And it helps them understand their world around them, because they can predict, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to get dressed, I'm going to have breakfast, I'm going to do my school work. That just gives them direction in their day. And that consistency needs to be built there so that they can feel secure. It also helps them make better decisions in the day. They are happier children, that's for sure, because they are able to predict what's going to happen in their daily routine. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. I actually, as you speak, I feel like, wow, consistency is such a beautiful thing. And and before you spoke, I felt like, oh, it's such a daunting thing to think of consistency. But as you spoke, just how God is consistent in his nature, and just how it really helps our children to be better children. It's a beautiful thing, consistency. You just explained it in a way that it just makes it beautiful, and it's something I long for as a parent, just as you speak, and I believe you as parents also listening. It's something that we long for, something so beautiful we long for in our parenting journey. So, Kim, how does consistency help your children? You spoke a little bit on it now, and I think you gave us nice examples, but how does it help your children?
Well, consistency helps them to just, like I was saying, understand their day and understand what is expected from them. Because when they don't understand what's expected from them, they can be a bit unsure, and that can cause anxiety in them. So that's what we really want to not have happen. We want to give them a safe environment where they feel they are being nurtured to grow, and it's a loving environment. And that's really how we can help them. Um, Another way we can do it is we want to produce security in them. We can tell them the day before what is expected of them. You know, when my kids were little, I used to do a wake up chart, and they would have little photos of them brushing their teeth and their photos of them making their bed and getting dressed. And that was exciting for them, because they would go to bed knowing tomorrow morning what was I expecting from them. And then they could actually just, you know, put a star or tick it off that they'd done it. And that helped them to actually be consistent in their day. It helped me knowing that they had got through all the things that I needed them to do, but it helped them to have something to do, some direction, and they could actually take ownership of it. You know, when they can take ownership of what needs to be done, we are empowering them. And that's, I really think, what empowering parenting is, when we can teach our children to make empowered decisions for themselves and feel empowered doing that.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and I think that's what we want to do as parents. That's our role also, to help our children, to guide them. We are getting empowered through this discussion, but in the same way, we're going and we're empowering our kids, and that's so awesome. Just, Kim, what would you say is like a downfall of inconsistent parenting, or a harm to inconsistent parenting?
Okay, well, inconsistent parenting just is confusing. That's the truth. For a little child who is seeing one expectation today, but tomorrow it's a different expectation, that is sending mixed messages, and that's really confusing for them. I'm thinking now of, you know, especially when the children and the mom and dad are disciplining a child, and mom and dad are on different pages. And there's also, that can also be inconsistent and sending what they are, the message that the parents are sending the children. So children are very quick to, you know, just identify, oh, mom and dad are not on the same page here. And then they will side with the one who's in their favor. So that just creates more and more, more and more problems. So I would just really encourage parents, especially when it comes to dealing with children, make sure you're both on the same page, because that will help you just as parents to make strong, clear decisions. And it will send a real clear message to your child There's no vagueness. There's no gray areas. It's all black and white, and that's what you're wanting to send to them, because unpredictability, in essence, causes anxiety. If children can't predict what's going to happen in their little environment, it does create anxiety, and then that can also lead to wrong behaviors that we really don't want to see in children. I know when I was teaching, unfortunately, some kids would display aggression or hostility, or on the flip side of that is just being complacent. You don't want to create that feeling in children. So being able for them to predict, they will feel secure in their environment and what's happening. So I think if parents can really be clear, and just clear and with their instructions even, that will create a security for children, and being consistent in that.
Yeah.
So today, what I expect from you today is the same as what I'm going to expect from you tomorrow. So that's where we need to be clear.
I think something you said now also that was so good and so clear is also that the parents being on the same page. So if you have a mom and a dad in the house parenting, we are very fortunate. I think it's something we see in this day also, is that we get a lot of single parenting. And I think I have a lot of compassion for single parents after I got children, just knowing that being consistent is a little bit easier if you have a partner that is agreeing with you, that can help you to stay in the plans that you've agreed on, or the schedule or the routine that you planned. You can keep each other accountable. But if you are the only parent and you have to stay consistent, I think it can be a challenge. But just as Kim was speaking now, I also realized that it can really help you as a single parent. It can really help you if you plan and you communicate with your children. You become a team in this parenting journey, and that consistency can be carried through. So as a single parent tonight, know that this is a key for you, consistent parenting. And for us, or for those that are that has a partner supporting them in the parenting journey, that planning together, being on the same page in this consistency is so important. So why do you think, Kim, is consistency so hard for parents? Like, I know when I'm tired and a lot of things happen, I drop the balls, if I can say it like that. Why do you think it's so hard for us?
Well, the truth is, consistency is exhausting. It really is exhausting. It's frustrating, and it takes a lot of effort. And I believe parents, we're just all trying to get through our own day. It is always when we're the tired and we've had very little sleep that our kids know which buttons to push. And in those moments, to be consistent is really hard because we are tired or we've got things to do. So that is where it's really, really hard to, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry. That is where it's hard to be consistent in those moments. So it's also where we also choose expediency over consistency. I think we choose to rather just get through things. I know for myself, if I ask my children to clean their room and they're not doing it and I keep asking them, then eventually I go and do it myself. But what have I actually taught them in that moment? I've taught them that if they wait long enough, mom will do it for them. And that's the truth. And so that's where with expediency, we actually not developing character or good behavior. And that's where consistency is so good, because those values of being confident, being able to make decisions, being able to follow through on things, that all comes through consistent routines with mom and dad. So that's where it is hard. It really is hard to be consistent. But I really want to encourage parents. When I think of my young kids, you're only really having to do a lot of consistent parenting in the early years. I think of those first 7 years. I was always told, concentrate on the first 7 years, they're the most important. And I would work so hard, and then you feel like you're dropping the ball when you don't have the energy to do it. But I really want to encourage parents. 7 years flies by. I'm now at nearly the end of my youngest one's first 7 years, and you really want to treasure and bring back those moments because they truly fly by. At the time, they go very slowly, so they will fly by, and the season does pass. So I really want to encourage parents just to push through those teaching moments. As tired as you are, you will be able to nurture such a good relationship with your child when you are consistent with them. No matter how tired you're feeling, really just to keep being consistent, because your parenting changes through each stage. You don't have to be so hands-on in as you were in the early stages. As they get older, you're always going to be a parent and always going to be needed, but your requirements and what's expected of you changes. And so that's why, as hard as it is to be consistent, especially with the little E's, I really want to encourage you, because it's such a good value to be able to nurture them in those years. And as they learn to be consistent with you, that actually helps you in the long run. I think of this lockdown season, and having been consistent with the older ones, they're able to help me more because they know how things work in our family. And it's a huge help for me. It's been awesome to have them just do things without me having to show them how. And looking back at what we've gone through and the years of just really being consistent, there's rewards. So what you're putting in now, you will reap the rewards if you are consistent.
Yeah, and just as you were speaking, Kim, I'm thinking now you have now the older kids, and you have Ryan that's a little bit younger, and I'm just thinking, is there a temptation to drop a bit of consistency with the younger one, because you've done it now with the older ones, and I think a lot of you families, if you are watching tonight, let us know if you have a teenager in your home and a toddler still in your home, or a younger one. Is consistency, is it or quickly easy to just drop the consistency with a little one?
Yeah, no, you're so right. I was just thinking, if you want to work on consistency, just have more children, because they will keep you consistent. Having the older two and the younger two, they will tell you what you did with them and the way you treated them, and are you being consistent with the others, because all the kids remember how you treated them, and they compare, and they will hold you to it. So that's been one of the biggest rewards, is actually having more children, because you have to be more consistent. They really do. They keep track of everything you do. And what you're saying is so true, Rieta, because with the older two, you work so hard in the beginning as a new parent. And this year, especially, I had to really go and look at my schedule and see, where am I being inconsistent with my younger two? And I've had to really just tweak areas where I can improve on consistency, because I've seen the rewards of being consistent with the older two. And now, if I think slide with the younger two, I'm not going to reap the same benefits. So, for example, with English, because we do homeschool, I've realized the value of reading to your children. So, we've done little books with the younger the younger two, we've done little books. I realized and so it's really been hard to make sure that I have time and energy at the end of the day to go and read a chapter of whatever novel. And sometimes it's the novel I'm reading for the third time. And you have to be excited about reading it. Being consistent with that has been important, because the value of reading stories helps them to be good with writing and the creative writing for English. So yes, yeah, you're right. You're constantly having to reassess and tweak your routine and see where are you as a parent dropping the balls and where are you okay. So it's that constant reassessing when you've got 4 children.
Kim, what do you think can we do? Do you have a few tips for us? What can we do to just become more consistent?
So to become more consistent, my biggest thing I would suggest is to watch your own words and actions. You know, coming back to the way the Lord is with us in our quiet times, He is the same with us. And because He is the same with us, it produces good fruit. And so that's what we need to try and mimic in our own lives. You know, that saying is children learn through actions speak louder than words. And so, what we're trying to install in them, we can say, yes, we want to keep this is the routine, this is how it's going to work. But if we don't actually act on it and follow it through ourselves with the children, they will realize that there's an inconsistency there. One of the programs that I love watching on parenting and I learn a lot from is Super Nanny. And she's back now, this series, she's got a new series out. So we've been watching it now during lockdown. And which I love. It just says, say what you perfect. I'll say it again. It says, say what you mean what you say, but don't say it mean. And so that is so true because when we are in those moments, we quickly say something. And sometimes it can be really hurtful. And then instead of just having to deal with the situation, we're having to deal with the way we spoke to the child as well and try and repair all that damage. So I think that would really just help us be consistent in our speech and our words and our actions. The other thing I'm really focusing at the moment for myself is Proverbs 31 verse 26 says, let wisdom and kindness be in her mouth. And, you know, being kind all the time and just being able to be consistent with that response of being kind to our children every time they come to us. And, you know, when you've got more than 2 or 3 children, it's really hard to be consistent because I forget that I've spoken to one child and then the next one will come and ask me a question and I'll answer it. By the third person asking me the same question, I'm not as kind as I was to the first person. And my kids will remind me and they'll say, but Mom, I didn't ask you that. It was so-and-so and it was the other child's. So I think just being aware of what we say and how we act will help the kids with consistency. The other way we can do it is just to make sure that everyone understands what's expected of them. What I mean by that is if we have a schedule or you have a routine, whatever it is that you have in your home, make sure every single person understands what is expected of them. Because being expected, knowing what is expected of them they'll be able to wake up in the morning and know how the day is going to flow. And that makes them secure because they've got direction for the day. And if things change, that's fine. We need to be flexible in our routines. Then that's fine. Just let everyone know what's expected of them. If suddenly you're going out somewhere or we're doing something, we need to be able to let everybody know what's expected. And that will just make sure that things flow a bit easier in the morning, or getting ready or getting out the house is going to be easier. So yeah, and other than that, I think just having just a routine that everyone can try and stick to. I know in lockdown at the moment things are changing and it's quite tricky for parents to keep routine, what the routine was. But where you can, I'd really encourage you to try and stick to that as much as possible. So if you're still schooling at home, continue that in their normal school hours. One thing we are doing with just keeping the kids happy with friends is we're organizing play dates over Zoom or WhatsApp video calls, just to try and get the kids to have that type of normality as well, because they need to see their friends. Different personalities need friends. And if we can keep that consistency going, it keeps the kids happy.
Yeah. That's so true. Thank you so much, Kim. I think that's really gonna going to help us. I know even for us in this time with that routine thing, I think we keep on hearing it, even with Pastor Tammy sharing and with all the other parents we speak to, everybody saying routine, routine. And I must say for us, it's been a bit of a challenge, but we've taken things that work. So we've tried out things and we try it for 3 days. And if it's not working, we can see the kids are not, they're not working together. It's not working for everyone. It's not working for me or my husband. Then we just change a few things and we try it for another 3 days. But if it's working, stick to it. Keep that consistency. If it's working for you, for your family, try out. I think we have an awesome opportunity to get to know one another and to also see what works for the whole family in this time. And that's the beauty of lockdown, is the family time. I know a lot of families don't have that much yet or anymore. But use the family time to try and figure out what is a ideal routine for you for this time.
Yes.
And make it work. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kim. I think many of us know your children, and we can really see the fruits of your parenting in their life. And they are when we interact with them, with the kids, they are always so kind and well behaved. And they always say your kids are better with other people than with you. But I think it's because of what you have deposited in them. So thank you so much, Kim, for just encouraging us tonight and really guiding us. We really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Rita.
Awesome. Parents, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I believe you've been encouraged. If you have any questions, if there's anything you want to still ask, please send us an email to the email address at the end of this meeting, and let us know what is the questions you think we can discuss at Empowering Parents that will just help you and some of your neighbors, friends that you know. I know for me, the one thing that helps me in my parenting journey is to ask questions, because we cannot do this alone. It's impossible to do. It's something we don't know. There's not a perfect manual. So we need to get advice and support in our parenting journey. So please ask your questions. We would love to hear from you. We will see you then next week at Empowering Parents. Have a good night. Bless you.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.